2024 was an extremely politically unstable year, with many conflicts around the world for the first time in a long time reaching their peak. For this reason, many nations around the world have been re-evaluating their war-fighting capabilities in order to adapt to an ever-threatening world, with enemy political alliances being forged. So in this video we will be evaluating and ranking the top 10 powers of 2025. As we already said, 2024 has seen nations rapidly moving to improve their military capabilities, whether it be Poland buying the Korean K9 artillery weapons, or Taiwan developing their homegrown Haikun class submarines. All this rapid military movement means that we at Armed Edge have decided that we will be ranking this year's top 10 rankings based on the following: 1. International defense ties, 2. Equipment quantity, 3. Equipment quality, 4. Personnel, and 5. The ability to fight a lone war. Now, just a note of warning that this is a highly simplified video. The rankings we have given are arguably accurate, however occasional key points may be missed due to the simplification of this video for the sake of the viewer. At number 10 we have Italy. They have an active force of about 165,000 active personnel with a population of 58 million. They are an active member of NATO and they are one of few countries to operate more than one aircraft carrier, which is quite impressive considering their low defence budget. Italy is the third most powerful European nation according to Global Firepower Index. Their military is also extremely cost effective considering the amount of equipment that they operate and the limited defence budget they have. However, Italy lacks a modern ground force with outdated tanks and armour. They have a straining defence budget, again similar to other NATO countries, mainly European ones. Also, they only operate about 18,500 reserves personnel, which is significantly lower than some of its allies. Italy has been investing into Sky Shield air defence, which is a great benefit for the nation's air defence systems. The unique Italian geography with places such as the Alps allow for better, more versatile training for its troops. Despite its issues, Italy has maintained its global power status. However, it is unlikely it will ever move much higher than a number 10 global power. International defence ties, it achieves a 9 out of 10, equipment quantity a 5 out of 10, equipment quality 7 out of 10, personnel 8 out of 10, ability to fight a lone war 7 out of 10, with an overall ranking of 7.5 out of 10. At number 9 we have Turkey. Turkey is an active NATO member and they have a large-scale regional presence. According to Global Firepower Index, they are the most powerful Middle Eastern nation. Alongside this, Turkey operates around 355,000 active personnel with a total population of 84 million, and most of their equipment is self-produced, making them a large weapons exporter. However, they do have political tensions with Greece and do have some growing tensions with the West due to their growing relationship with the Russian Federation. Turkey in recent years has invested a great deal into its international presence to assert its power over its rivals such as Iran. Now, Turkey is establishing itself as a sort of regional superpower. With a booming arms industry and soldiers matching NATO standards, it has stationed itself in places like Libya, Iraq and Syria. Now, Turkey has found itself into a sort of tug of war, largely between NATO and Russia, affecting its international defence ties. For this reason, they take the number 9 spot on our list. Turkey finishes with an international defence ties ranking of 8, equipment quantity a 7, equipment quality also a 7, personnel 8 out of 10, and ability to fight a lone war also 8, with an overall ranking of 8 out of 10. At number 8 we have Japan. Japan has very close political ties with most major Western nations. They have been credited for having technology that in some cases have outcompeted the likes of the USA. They have a focus on defensive operations due to the close proximity of North Korea and China. They have the 4th largest economy in the world and have about 247,000 personnel with a population of 123 million. However, they lack large-scale offensive capabilities and have been given the classification of a green water navy. Now, there are two major types of navy, one of which is green water navies. A blue water navy is any navy capable of global deployment and power projection. A green water navy, on the other hand, is a navy with somewhat effective yet limited global deployment capabilities. Now, Japan is becoming increasingly threatened by its neighbours such as China, Russia and North Korea. It's no wonder why Japan would seek a largely defensive military rather than offensive. Japan ends with international defense ties ranking at a 9, equipment quantity ranking at a 7, equipment quality ranking at a 9, personnel ranking at an 8, and ability to fight a lone war at a 7, with an overall ranking of 8 out of 10. At number 7, we have France. France operates around 200,000 personnel with a population of 86 million. They are the only country outside the US to operate a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, and are the first on this list to operate nuclear weapons, with about 290 deployed and capable of being used. Like most on this list, France is an active and founding member of NATO. They also operate arguably the best logistics system of any European nation, with high numbers of logistical systems allowing for effective movement and transport of its armoured units. However, France has a declining global influence, with many African nations ordering the removal of French troops that have been stationed there for peacekeeper operations and to combat insurgencies. In recent years, the withdrawing of French soldiers have limited French influence and global power, therefore forcing France into a much weaker position than it formerly was in. Not only this, but France is frequently suffering from military recruitment issues. This is something they're actively trying to fix. They are making some good improvements, however, and have improved their warfighting capabilities largely since the war in Ukraine broke out. France ends with an international defence ties rank of about 9, an equipment quantity of about 6, equipment quality of about 8, personnel rank of 8, and the ability to fight a lone war of 7 out of 10, with an overall ranking of 8 out of 10. At number 6 we have the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom operates around 184,000 personnel with a population of 68 million. They are an island nation, meaning that an invading nation would require advanced naval and logistical capabilities. They're also an operator of Trident nuclear weapons launched via Vanguard-class submarines. They operate some advanced equipment like Storm Shadow missiles, Challenger 2s, Eurofighter Typhoons, and more. They are also a founding member of NATO with many international defence ties and a so-called special relationship with the US. The United Kingdom does have a limited stockpile of ammunition and equipment when compared to its equals. They have a straining defence budget that's been leading to limited deployment capabilities, not to mention they're lacking behind in terms of future projects and modernisation. The United Kingdom has had some serious issues over the past few years. The future project delays, technical issues largely with warships, or limited or ageing kit have all been taking a toll on the British Army, and this is all due to the straining defence budget, which you can see more on in the link we have given you. One of the UK's saving graces that is fairly internationally recognised is the fact that it produces extremely high quality personnel like the SBS, SAS or the SRR. Producing soldiers of the highest quality has been something the UK has focused on, mainly because the British Army has always focused itself on supporting other armies rather than to fight a lone war by itself. For this reason, the UK scores a 9 out of 10 for international defence ties, an equipment quantity of 6 out of 10, equipment quality of 7 out of 10, personnel ranking a 9, and the ability to fight a lone war 5, leaving it with an overall ranking of 8 out of 10. At number 5 we have South Korea. South Korea has a deep US relationship and they operate around 3.1 million reservists, meaning that South Korea operates the second largest number of reservists in the world, just behind Vietnam. They operate highly advanced artillery systems in large quantities as well. Not to mention, they also operate around 600,000 active personnel with a population of 52 million. They operate large amounts of quality equipment, and they are deeply invested in defensive capabilities due to the presence of North Korea, China and Russia, similar to how Japan faces the threats. However, South Korea does have the smallest land area on this list. The capital Seoul does also lie somewhat close to the border with North Korea, which would critically affect their time to respond if they were to be invaded. South Korea have been quick to outcompete North Korea in every regard possible, developing their conventional forces to a great standard and to combat North Korea's nuclear threat with defence ties with the United States. Not to mention the fact that there are also threats from Russia and China, meaning that similar to Japan, they are also greatly invested in their defensive capabilities. South Korea finishes with an international defence ties ranking of 9, equipment quantity of 8, equipment quality of 9, personnel ranking at 9, ability to fight a lone war ranking 8, and the overall ranking of 9 out of 10. In 4th place we have India. India operates the second largest active army in the world, with a population of 1.4 billion. They operate a large number of equipment which is currently in the process of being modernised, and not to mention they also have fairly neutral relations with both the US and Russia. India has a growing weapons industry which is great for the nation. They have a rapidly growing economy nearing a GDP of about $4 trillion. They're also still a rising military power, set to grow larger and more powerful in the future. However, as of now, the Indian military is currently quite unequipped, not to mention their air force has been noted to be quite outdated. The Indian Army's original main objective was to defend the nation's frontiers. However, they have taken up the responsibility in recent years of providing internal security, especially against insurgencies. India has also been increasing their international presence, placing their militaries in places like Oman, Tajikistan and Madagascar and more. Their rapid acceleration in military might has seen them gain a ranking of number 4. Therefore, we're giving them an international defence ties of 9, equipment quantity of 9, equipment quality of 8, personnel ranking of 8, and the ability to fight a lone war 8 out of 10, giving them overall ranking of 9.5 out of 10. At number 3 we have Russia. Russia is the largest country by land area in the world, making it extremely difficult to invade them. They have a large amount of natural materials in the eastern Siberian region, and they operate more artillery than any other nation, including towed artillery and self-propelled artillery. Russia does also have a large sphere of influence. Their military is extremely cost effective, with some modern equipment being made in more recent years. Not to mention they also have the world's largest nuclear stockpile out of any other nation. Russia only has few close allies, with only Iran and North Korea willing to aid the nation with their war in Ukraine. They're also a largely Soviet-based force, with most of its conventional forces operating largely old equipment from decades ago. Now, the Russian military is largely an old Soviet-based force, producing quality equipment in largely small or mediocre numbers. In terms of allies, they are largely outcompeted when compared to the likes of America, their rivals. However, Russia does still have some very good aspects of its military, such as the access to natural resources, its global presence, its premier special forces, blue water navy status, and on and on and on. Therefore, Russia gains an international defence ties ranking of 6, an equipment quantity ranking of 9, equipment quality of 7.5, a personnel ranking of 8 out of 10, and its ability to fight a lone war 9 out of 10, leaving it with an overall ranking of 9.5 out of 10. At number 2 we have China. China operates the world's largest army with over 2 million personnel. They have the second largest economy in the world, and they have the world's largest tank fleet with over 6,000 in service. China operates highly advanced military equipment, all in extremely high numbers, with few outdated or Soviet weaponry. They operate around 300 plus nuclear weapons alongside this. However, they do have a fairly limited international presence and have not fought a war in several decades. The situation with the Chinese military is very impressive. All their growth has been achieved within the last 30 years. They spend around 261 billion in defense, which is again highly impressive despite the fact that the situation China was in 30 years ago was significantly different than it is now. The goal of the Chinese military as of now is to secure control of the South China Sea. This is to outcompete the US and its allies in the region, and potentially to seize Taiwan in the future. China gets an international defense ties ranking of 7, equipment quantity a 9 out of 10, equipment quality 8 out of 10, personnel 8 out of 10, and the ability to fight a lone war 9 out of 10, giving them an overall ranking of 9.7 out of 10. At number 1 we have the United States of America. The United States has the highest defense budget globally, with spending over $700 billion on defense each year. They have a huge global presence with military bases all over the world, and they are the lead member of NATO, accounting for over half of its defense policy. The United States operates around 10 aircraft carriers and 9 helicarriers, allowing for mass global deployment of its large air force, which is the biggest of its kind. They also have the second largest nuclear arsenal in the world, second to the Russian Federation. The United States, however, has accumulated quite a few enemies around the world despite its many allies. It is also slowly becoming isolated by moving away from international conflicts and damaging international relations. Since the Cold War, the United States was left as the world's only global superpower, with the Soviet Union no longer left to rival it. This left the United States to prosper while the now new weaker Russia has become incapable of matching them. The United States has now grown internationally powerful and with a major worldwide presence. The situation in Ukraine has, however, been threatening international relations with other Western nations. However, despite this, it is unlikely it will critically affect the United States' ranking in 2025, with many nations still relying on it for their own defense. The United States scores an international defense ties ranking of 8, equipment quantity is an 8.5, equipment quality is a 9, personnel ranking at an 8, and the ability to fight a lone war it scores a 9, leaving it with a final rating of 9.5. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more from Armed Edge, please like and subscribe so you'll be know when we next upload our next video.